we've had a few sprinkles and it definitely looks like we're gonna get some rain. In this half bed of Salanova lettuce where the crane fly larvae have been chewing on the stems and causing a lot of damage, I tried putting some garlic pieces right at the stem because supposedly they don't like garlic. So the other day I actually put a whole piece of garlic at the stems of all of the red lettuce, you know, cut out a little piece just so you could smell the garlic. And I just did that with the rest of, you know, with the green. Fluffy, fluffy, fluffy. This is the Lofty Salad mix that I cut a couple weeks ago, and it's all grown back. Salanova lettuce. Lofty salad mix. Ruby red. Orange. Whoa! Baby chard. Lofty salad mix is shaved, and bok choy is bolting to seed. So are some of the radishes. We got everybody a haircut here so that the cucumbers can get a little bit of light. And the lettuce is growing so fast in here. I went ahead and clipped back the one row of lettuce that I didn't clip back last week. I was super excited after last week. The centers of both of the greenhouses, the walkways, got tilled up because I planned to plant some lettuce things. And then it was supposed to get kind of, you know, overcast for a few days. I thought perfect weather for the plants that I'm planting and for me being in the greenhouse, which might be too hot otherwise. But then I really realized how tired I was and how I have kind of like noodle arms. And so yesterday I slept in the middle of the day. And so now I have one more day that's kind of like this, and then the sun's supposed to pop out. I threw some bin boards along the sides. I can check for slugs, something to walk on, I don't know. All raked in. I actually have a couple 100 pounds of this stuff up above the compost bins, but I'm too lazy to get it, so I'm using these little boxes. Normally I use the 4-row gritter for lettuce, but I'm using the 2-row gritter just to give myself, you know, an idea of where everything's at, because these beds aren't quite 30 inches, you know, and I don't want the lettuce growing so I can't even walk, right? The 4-row gritter would give me 7.5-inch square spacing, but what I've got here is 7.5-inch spacing between these guys, but only 5-inch spacing between these guys. And that's tight, but that's okay. I just watered them in, 48 each, green and red. I usually have 60 each in a half bed, but I kind of left a little space here at the ends for me to walk around. And I've got a few extras here. I planted a couple of bok choy at the bed ends in hopes of attracting away slugs. Okay, dudes, moving on to the next greenhouse. Okay, basil greenhouse. I got the boards down and raked out. The basil, last week, you know, the leaves were looking pretty awful, but all of the centers, even the ones that are really bad, the centers are surviving. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to pull out my carrots to give the basil more light. Almost forgot the fertilizer. Okay, seeding Lofty salad mix, raw seed. Never done this before. With the Jang-seeder. I'm gonna try and get 9 rows in there, I guess. Now is this gonna even work with the handles? Shift the handle. God. Imagine harvesting this. Oh boy, we did it. This is crazy. This is what it looks like, people. Now I just need to water it. I had to pull out all my carrots, which I don't know, a few weeks, they might have been baby carrots. I've been covering the basil at night just to keep it a little warmer, and I went ahead and covered this newly seeded lettuce in hopes of keeping the water from evaporating so that the soil's nice and moist and we get good germination. We're supposed to have sun tomorrow. Hopefully things don't get too hot. Okay folks, so those are 2 planting options and we'll see which one works best. I am prepping a little lettuce mix in my orange spinny buddy. So pretty. So pretty. Dudes, I'm getting down to the very last bit of carrots that I overwintered and then pulled out of the ground and stored here in the fridge. I thought I'd make it through April, but I think we're gonna make it through May. Last of the winter carrots and brand new shiny greens from the greenhouse. Hi. The sun keeps coming out and then going away and then coming out. This is the new garden area that I'm going to fence in today and hope all goes well. This is the new garden area, old garden area, new garden area. Whoa. And I've got these vampire stakes that Tyler sharpened the ends for me. And I've got 3 screws in here that I can snag the fencing on, the mesh deer fencing on. But I forgot, I've got to get a couple over here first before I start working around the edge of this new area. So it'll look like this. Alrighty, so that's done. I need to take out this original fence. I don't know how easy that's going to be, but the first thing I need to do actually is harvest this spinach. There are definitely bare spots, you know, in this patch, and that I don't think is either seeding or germination. I think that's just crane fly larvae eating through parts of this bed. But these guys are, some are bigger than, almost bigger than baby leaf. So I'm just gonna give this thing the first cut. I left some of the thin patches, but I cut this whole 40-foot bed. I got all of the fence posts, the old fence posts pulled down here. And this new mesh fencing it's got a lot bigger mesh size. The mesh is a lot stronger, but it doesn't allow you to, you know, is easily kind of snag around the screws. So I don't know, it's working okay. But let me show the old stuff is much smaller, a little more delicate, but you can really, it's a lot more stretchable. So I don't know, sometimes you just get used to something and you think this better, but we'll see how it goes. It's kind of interesting how everything looks more like just one big garden now, and I can just wander around in there without having to go out the gate and go out the other side. So that's pretty cool. I haven't checked my potatoes for a while. I've got them stashed in these boxes up on this pallet in the composting bins. This is cool. So they're sprouty, you know, but they're not like soft and mushy. I'm looking over here at my 3 beds of carrots. I seeded these 2 beds first, and then I was able to prep and seed this bed later, and we are seeing some germination here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the row cover on this bed. All right, so this was intended to be my 3 beds of Salanova lettuce for the season. I'd planned to do half bed successions, first, second, third, fourth. I had planted spinach in this bed, and then I was gonna do a later planting of the 5th and 6th successions of lettuce after I had harvested that spinach. So the problem is that I noticed after I planted the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd successions of lettuce that I was having a lot of damage, and discovered the crane fly larvae were causing that. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link that above. So then that's when I changed tactics and decided to prep the greenhouse for primarily growing lettuce, in case this was going to be a complete loss out here. So what am I going to do now? This is what I'm going to do, and I'll explain why. I am going to, there's that back half bed that Tyler tilled when he tilled the greenhouse walkways, and it's been sitting out in the hot weather for a week, which is conditions that the larvae don't like. So maybe it's just disrupted them to some extent. So what I'm going to do is clear out this full bed here and till this bed and let that sit out for a while. So that I don't lose everything, I'm going to pull out all the lettuce, the ones that survived, and transplant them in that back half empty bed there. And also pull out the green onions. I'm going to plant garlic bulbs next to the stems in those new transplants, just like I did with these. My friend Paxton from his channel Paxtiano Dirt Frog talked about how he really likes cooking with the garlic greens, you know, the young garlic, not the garlic scapes, but the young garlic shoots. And so yeah, I'll have garlic shoots if I don't get lettuce. And then once I have this empty bed here and it's all tilled and sits there for a while, I think that maybe right off I'll go ahead and plant a half bed of all of my green onions, that my starts that I have sitting on the table, and get them out, because it turns out that the crane fly larva doesn't bother the green onions. And then this other half bed, then if everything goes well, I'll consider transplanting out my last flats of Salanova lettuce when they're ready to go out, and see if I can't save that. And now as far as this last bed here that's in spinach, I may let this grow back one more time, or I may just have Tyler till it under when he does this other bed, and let it just kind of sit out. And I really do need to seed a couple of more flats of Salanova lettuce, and maybe a couple more successions in case it works with the lettuce out here, and then I'll plant this last bed in lettuce too. Is he a cabbage moth? Cabbage butterfly, or whatever they call them? Hey, buddy. He's been hanging around in my kale, probably laying eggs. The 4-row gritter gives me 4 rows at 7.5-inch square spacing. Doop, 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 doop. Everything's been cleared out from this bed, and in the back half I planted my whatever I could scrounge up of lettuce. There's my little robin. He's been helping me all day. Anyway, I've got my green onions stashed in trays that I watered. You know, the ones I took from the bed. I was just thinking how it's going to be hard to tell the difference between transplants that just didn't make it, or worm-eaten transplants. But I hope they all make it. I poured a bunch of water into the hole before I planted them, but I don't know if we're going to get any rain. We could really use some rain. Probably end up watering these guys in the morning and stuff, just keeping them watered. And I think that's everything. Potatoes did not get planted again this week, but the fences went up, so that's a step forward. I'll see you guys next week. Can you see this bunch? It's so big, I can't get it into the picture.